there, I'm Sandy Reese, Chief Encouragement Officer here at Get Fully Funded, where we help small nonprofits learn how to raise the money they need to fully fund their mission. I'm here to help you learn how to master the art and science of fundraising. And I've got a great tip for you in just a moment. But before we get to that, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that the next time we post a really great tip like this one, you're among the first to know. Okay, on to this week's tip. The key to fundraising success is to have a plan. A plan keeps you focused and moving forward so you don't get distracted with other things. And what makes a plan a really good, useful, solid plan is when you put revenue projections along with all the activities that you want to do during the year. It helps you manage your cash flow. It also helps you know what worked and didn't, because you can look at what you projected for a particular activity and what it actually brought in and how close you were. By the way, you know you're a good fundraiser when you can estimate with some pretty eerie accuracy how well your fundraising activities will perform during the year. And it's a lot of fun to watch. Now, if you're brand new to revenue projection, this can be a little daunting. Or if you're not a numbers person, I totally get it. But look, you need to figure this out. If you're going to grow your organization and be successful, you have to be able to deal with the numbers. You've got to be able to do some revenue projection. And just like anything else, the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it. So where do you start if you're new? So there's 3 things I want you to do. Number 1, start with what you know. So if your organization has been around for a few years, you can look at what you've done in the past. So let's say you have an event that you do. It doesn't really matter what kind of a fundraising event it is, but if it has consistently raised a certain amount of money every year for the last 3 years, then all things being equal, it is probably going to raise that much going forward. If your monthly giving consistently generates, let's say $5,000 a month, it has been for the last year and a half, pretty safe to say it's going to continue to do that unless you run people off, right? And if you do what you need to do, it's all going to be okay, and it's going to consistently generate that. So what you want to do is look at your data. Go pull some reports. However much history you have, look at it just to see, are there things that you feel like you can count on? They are what I call the knowns. You know you're going to keep doing monthly giving. You know you're going to do that event. Are those numbers going to continue to hold into the future? Now, if your organization is brand new and you don't have that history, then you have to go on to the next step, which is where everybody else is going, and that is to do some estimation. So this is where you want to look at things and say, well, how much do I think that will bring in? Now, you may already be thinking, I have no idea. I've never done this before. Well, that's where you want to look and see what other people are doing. You want to look at industry trends. You want to get a mentor. You want to follow somebody like me who can give you some hints and tips about what that looks like. There will be a certain amount of finding your way as you're figuring out estimates, and that's okay. Don't try to get this perfect. Do the best you can. There's a real difference between perfection and impeccability. Impeccability is doing something to the best of your ability. It's not the same as perfection. So do the best you can. Also be very conservative as you estimate. So let's say you think we're gonna do for the very first time a t-shirt sale, and our goal is to sell 1,000 t-shirts. Well, if your sphere of influence is very small and you only have like 50 people on your email list, and it's all friends and family, you're probably not going to sell 1,000 t-shirts. So whatever the thing is that you set out, if it's t-shirt sale, it's an event, whatever it is, I want you to think about how will that perform? What's the goal for that activity? So like if you want to sell 1,000 t-shirts, then you have to ask yourself, how reasonable is that? Do we really think we can do that? Would it be more reasonable based on our email list of 50 people? Do we think we could sell maybe 100 t-shirts? Is that more reasonable? And look, it's so much better to start with a much smaller goal and blow past it than to have a huge goal and fall way short. There's a very different vibe between those two things. Having a very low goal and hitting it actually is it's gonna jazz you up, and you're gonna feel pretty good about that, and you're gonna want to go do the next thing. But falling very, very short is defeating. You'll feel bad about it. All right, so projecting revenue, start with the knowns, estimate what you can. That's where you look at your fundraising plan and all the things you have planned for the year, and you try to estimate to the best of your ability what you're going to do. And beyond that, there are times you're going to have to make an educated guess on things. but guess very, very low. Again, it's so much better to shoot low, come in over that, than to be disappointed. And as I mentioned earlier, look and see what others are doing, especially organizations that are similar in size and similar in mission to yours. What are they doing? What are they doing that works? How much do they raise on this, that, and the other? If you can build a relationship with the person who is the leader of that organization, they might be willing to share information with you, to tell you what they raised on a fundraising activity and what it cost them. That's an important piece you need to know. Doesn't matter if they raised $10,000 if it cost them $9,500 to do it. You need to know that. Just give this a shot. I know this can be a little daunting. Look, I didn't know what I was doing when I first started doing revenue projections, and I didn't think I was good with numbers, but I gave it a shot. Some of it I got right, some of it I did not. And then the next year I tried again, and I tried again, and it took me a little bit of time, but I learned to be very good at it. I also learned to trust my gut. So if you're the kind of person who is very instinctually driven, you tuned in to your energy and your higher wisdom, trust that. So if your gut says this is going to work and that's not, trust that. Be conservative, give this a shot, practice it, because at the end of the day, what you're going to find is that you're getting better and better at projecting revenue, which is going to make your life easier when you have a good idea of what your cash flow is going to look like based on your fundraising plan. You can get more information about this there's a link to an article on our blog, and I'll share that here in just a second.